year for 2021 for your districts. We're fortunate this year, we have all 12 districts represented and actually have two from each district. So congratulations to all 24 of you. We're excited for you and we're happy that you're here, and I want to wish everyone the best of luck. Now, teachers, our journeys through time of celebration are sometimes punctuated with times of loss and difficulty. This time last year, our toy celebration were halted by the sudden and tragic loss of 23 lives, which still weighs heavily on our hearts. And in this year, we come together in seclusion as we wait for the COVID crisis to end. Yet, we need not to hold back to celebrate. And so today, we'd like to rise and continue to flourish and rejoice in our strength as a community and a culture. In a few moments, we'll hear some of the personal stories which illustrate that we are no strangers to difficulties. Many of you have overcome much adversity to become the influential educators that you are today. And that is what makes El Paso teachers stand out year after year. Your positive resilience and ability to rise above adversity, which you pass on to inspire the future of your students. El Paso has been blessed with many years of exemplary status and recognition of our teachers of the year, statewide. Just look at last year, we had 2 winners at the state level. And we will continue to celebrate and support you, our leaders in education, because we are El Paso strong. I also want to take a moment and thank TFCU for their support and sponsor of this great celebration. I also want to say thank you to Max Villarronga, the CEO for TFCU. And again, congratulations to all of you, and let's enjoy, and I really look forward to hearing all your stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yvette. And now it is also my honor to introduce a visionary leader who consistently finds ways to give back to our El Paso community, such as the Teacher of the Year program. He leads the growth of one of the most recognized and healthiest credit unions, and now with 9 branches located throughout our city. Please help me welcome TFCU President and CEO, Max Villarronga.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Villarronga.
Okay, it's not letting me turn my camera on, so puede ser porque estoy demasiado feo, is what I'm thinking, but we'll go ahead and continue. So I'd like to, of course, thank Dr. Armando Aguirre and Ms. Socorro Rodriguez for this beautiful recognition they design each year for our region teachers. They always do such an amazing, amazing job. First and foremost, congratulations on your nomination for the Region 19 Teacher of the Year. Each of you represent the dedication, hard work, and passion for teaching, and you are especially lucky because you get to mold our nation's future. Right now, we are in the midst of a social change for racial justice, a major economic recession, and a global pandemic. This year presents challenges to all of you as teachers. But the one thing I am sure of, I am sure that you're up to this challenge. TFCU, Teachers Federal Credit Union, is proud to be your partner in education. You may not know this, but TFCU was started by teachers right here in El Paso, Texas. We were started during a similar moment in history, the Great Depression. We were founded by educators because teachers were tired of being ignored by banks and preyed upon by loan sharks. They wanted to have access to affordable loans. The economy was in shambles and real people needed help. A few teachers, brave teachers, decided to join together and lend each other money. Every year, more teachers would join the group and pool their savings together to lend it out to each other. It was really an example of people helping people. TFCU was formed as a not-for-profit financial cooperative, just like that. Can you believe that 84 years later, TFCU has grown to over 64,000 members, 9 branches in El Paso, and over $740 million in assets. So it's no surprise that TFCU has education firmly at its roots. It's a great honor to be amongst the best and brightest teachers in our city this morning. I wish you the best of luck in your journey. I encourage you to enjoy this experience you're about to go through. I know it's unusual in the middle of a pandemic, and it's normal to be nervous, but try to enjoy it. Thank you for all you do for our children, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Villalonga, and thank you to TFCU for your partnership and your investment in education in our community. Well, next, the moment that we have all been waiting for and the purpose of why we have the meet and greet event. It is the time for us to be inspired by the personal stories each of our teachers will share with us this morning. I'm going to start off with Anthony Independent School District, our elementary candidate, Ms. Courtney Ketterer.
Hello, good morning. It also won't let me start my video.
Let's do that.
It says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, let's see. Just one moment. Let's see. Okay, all right. Yeah, just a second. Okay, just one moment. All right, if you'd like to start speaking, I'll go ahead and work on that in just a second.
Okay, sure, no problem. So hello, good morning. My name is Courtney Ketterer. I am a first grade teacher at Anthony Elementary School, and I feel very honored and lucky to be here and be talking to you all today. Many people have inspired me to become educators. First and foremost, I have a family full of educators. My grandmother was a teacher. My mom is a teacher who inspires me every day. And I have a lot of aunts in my family who are also teachers. So it kind of runs in our family and in our blood. But I also had a lot of teachers who inspired me to become an educator, particularly my early childhood teachers in first grade and pre-K. I was able to volunteer in their classrooms, and I knew early on that I wanted to be a teacher. I also worked with a lot of teachers through my student teaching process who were great mentor teachers to me and inspired me. I was lucky enough to do a full year student teaching program. So even though I'm going into my 5th year of teaching, I feel that I got a lot of experience there. And those teachers really made me passionate about early childhood education, particularly about literacy and helping students learn to read. They taught me that it's so important to reach all learning styles. And so a lot of people and teachers that I work with tell me that I teach very differently. But I think that's important because we need to meet the needs of all of our students, and every year that looks different. So I have written a few grants to provide those resources for my students. First and foremost, we have flexible seating in my classroom. So students don't necessarily sit at a table or a desk. They have many different options to choose from. We have standing desks, we have wobble stools, There's bands in the bottom of the chairs for students who feel they need to move a little bit more. I've also written a grant to get Chromebooks for my classroom so students are able to use computers and learn how to type and learn how to use computers. Oh, there I am. Students are able to learn how to use a computer, learn how to type, and do more hands-on experiences. In my classroom, we do a lot of experiments, a lot of hands-on center work, so students are able to interact physically with the curriculum, so they're able to learn deeply. And so I think that it's really important to incorporate those things as teachers in our classrooms. I use a lot of movement, a lot of songs, just to help students make those connections. But through a lot of people that I'm close with, I have become passionate about the experience or the importance, sorry, of mental health. And so providing social emotional learning in my classroom, as well as academic learning, is something that's really important to me. Teaching students how to be good citizens and teaching students how to cope with frustration so they have those tools in their toolbox. But ultimately, when students come through my classroom, I just want them to know that they are readers, they are authors, they are mathematicians, and that they are so valued and so important in our community, in our school, and ultimately they're important for our future.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Ms. Courtney. Next, for the secondary category, representing YSLETA Independent School District, Ms. Yvette Gonzalez.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. My name is Yvette Gonzalez, and I am here to proudly represent J.M. Hanks High School with the YSLETA Independent School District. I'd like to say thank you to my principal, Mr. Herrera, and the admin for always supporting me. And of course, I'd like to thank Region 19 and TFCU for hosting this wonderful event so that we're able to share our stories today. Thank you also for making us feel so appreciated this week. It's a challenging time and we all appreciate it. We were asked to speak to you today about someone or something that has inspired us to become an educator. I like to think that in high school, I was a pretty good student. I got good grades, I was very involved, and I even graduated top 10% of my class. But my sophomore year, that was the exception. I was getting bad grades, I was hanging out with the wrong people, and I had low self-esteem. I like to think that there's one man who thought otherwise. That was the first year that my parents were called in for a conference, and it wasn't for a good reason. It was so they could talk to them about my attitude and my grades. This man, by the name of Mr. Clay Farley, was my sophomore geometry teacher at Riverside High School. He intervened at the exact right moment to make sure I stayed on the right path. He knew about my struggles, but he also knew that I was extremely terrified to take the EOC at the end of the year because I needed to pass this in order to graduate. And math, that was not my forte. See, he constantly supported me. He helped me day in, day out, even at lunchtime. He did this for all his students, and he gave us 100% of himself. He did all this while he walked around with an IV in his arm. He was very ill, and he would also walk around with an IV bag. I'll never forget the day that he called us up to his desk one by one. He looked me in the eye with the most genuine smile, and he said, "Yvette, congratulations. You did it. I'm so proud of you. You passed your test." I was able to hug him goodbye at the end of the year, but little did I know that that would be the last time that I would see Mr. Farley. He passed away shortly after. If I could tell him one thing today, I would tell him thank you for believing in me when I didn't even believe in myself. I tell him thank you for planting that seed within me to want to become an educator. See, this teacher, he didn't just teach me about geometry. He taught me about life. He taught me to persevere no matter what obstacle came in my way. I realized at that moment that I too wanted to be a Mr. Farley to someone else. The past month or so, I ended up in the ER and the ICU 2 times, and I got very, very sick. And of course, I thought about life, family, and work. And who but none other than Mr. Farley popped into my mind. I thought about how he went into work and gave it his all every day, and that I too still wanted that opportunity to fulfill my purpose in the classroom. See, YSD recently sent us to hear a motivational speaker by the name of Keith Matheny, and he said the following: "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." That quote resonated with me because not only did I think about my students, but I thought about Mr. Farley. I thought about how he took the time to get to know me and cared about what direction that I went in. I hope too that I continue to do that for my students. A lot of them have visited me and told me that I've made a difference in their life. And I know that I'm not perfect and I learn from them every single day, but I hope that I can continue to be a Mr. Farley to my students. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Gonzalez. Next, in our elementary category, representing CANUTILLO Independent School District, Ms. Nancy Campero.
Hi, good morning. My name is Nancy Campero. I am a third grade dual language teacher at Reyes Elementary in CANUTILLO, ISD. I am proud to represent CANUTILLO, and I am thankful for Ms. Carrillo and all the admin for supporting me in all this process. I was also going to share my experience of who inspired me to become a teacher. So I decided to become a teacher so that I can empower children, regardless of their lack of opportunities or resources they have available. My experience also, just like Ms. Gonzalez, happened during high school. I was also a sophomore in my English class. It was maybe the end of the first semester. And I had recently moved to El Paso from Juarez. And I was sitting in the class. There was a big, tough, intimidating guy sitting right in front of me. And I noticed that he was often absent. He was disengaged, and he was not compliant with the teacher, and he was often not receptive to the teacher's instructions. So I don't know, it was just kind of a calling for me to start speaking to him. And I became sort of an informal peer tutor to him. I would read aloud the text to him. We would work on the assignments together. And I think the teacher noticed what was happening because he didn't say anything. I think that he knew that I was trying to help. I noticed a change in him. He started turning in the assignments. He even turned in homework for the first time. The teacher was shocked to see that happening. And there was a day that I was selling chocolates, those fundraiser $1 chocolates that I was selling for an art club that I belonged to. And I asked him if he would want to buy one. And so he said yes, and he handed me a $20 bill. So I asked him, would you want to get 20 chocolates because I don't have any change? So he only got one. And he said, just keep the change because I would rather give it to you than go spend it on drugs. I'm sorry.
Nothing, you're fine, you're fine. Go ahead and pick up where you left off. Thank you so much.
And so that moment hit me personally and professionally as well, because I, at that moment, thought if I was able to make a little bit of a difference in his life while being a student, then I would have a much bigger chance of making a difference in other students' lives if I went to college and become a teacher. So that experience transformed me and helped me move forward to become a teacher and make a difference and be an advocate for those students that don't have the opportunities or cannot see the opportunities that they have ahead of them, and to show them that there's a beautiful world out there and that every student deserves a teacher who does not give up on them, regardless of their behavior or their background. I have made a commitment that I will empower and advocate for those children.
Wonderful. That was so touching.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Campero. Next, from our secondary category, representing Tornillo Independent School District, Mr. Angel Alvarez.
Hear me?
Ready.
Oh God, I was hoping the camera would stay off.
You look fantastic. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, those are tough acts to follow. Okay, so I'm happy to be able to represent Tornillo Independent School District. I work at the high school, and same as everyone else, I'd like to tell you how I was inspired to become a teacher. My story starts in a tumultuous home, to use a euphemism. And part of my life involved getting up at 4 a.m. so that me and my brother could cross the border every day and go to Cooley Elementary School, which was just down the street of the Americas Bridge. And as I was going through school, I would see these two kids, and they were so smart, and I'm going to call them Nick and Gil. And these kids, you know, their charts had stars next to their names, so many stars, and mine didn't. Nick and Gil got to go to the GT club and make amazing things. And so I said, I'm going to try to be like them. But somehow I couldn't be like them. No matter what I tried, I just wasn't Nick and Gil. I just wasn't smart like them. I decided that some people in this world were smart and some of us were not. And so I continued being a C student, C-, until I got to 4th grade, where I met Miss Hyatt. She changed my life. Because you see, Miss Hyatt, even though I was a C student, I understand it. She said, you got to come in for tutoring. I said, why? I'm passing. But, and that just meant I had to wake up an extra 30 minutes earlier. I'm like, I'm already waking up at 4, geez. Like, but she made me come in every day because she believed in me. You see, I thought I was dumb, but she didn't. She never thought I was lazy. I kind of was. She never thought I was a quitter, which I kind of was. Instead, she taught me perseverance. See, it wasn't so much what she was teaching me a better version of myself. She was teaching me to be a good student, to try my best. And soon, I learned that I could do everything that Nick and Gil could do. And I learned to overcome situations in school. I learned to try harder. I learned to study. I learned not to quit. But see, I didn't just learn it in school. I learned to do it in life. And although my life did not become any less tumultuous, school became a stabilizing force in my life thanks to Ms. Hyatt. Because after Ms. Hyatt, I was a straight A student. And it kills me to know that I never got to thank her. Sorry. I never got to thank Ms. Hyatt. I never got to tell her what she did for me. So today I have the privilege to use this platform to thank all of you here. Because you are changing lives. You may never know what extent you change lives, but you are. These students may never come back and thank you for everything you did for them. But just know that you're doing amazing things for them. So on behalf of those students, it is my privilege today to thank you for them. Thank you. is it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Next, representing CLINT Independent School District, elementary category, Ms. Yvonne Palacio.
Hi, we see you. Fantastic.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank CLINT ISD and my administration for giving me this opportunity and this privilege of representing our district elementary teachers. I, like everybody else, we've been asked to talk about who it is who inspired us to become the teachers that we are. And in my lifetime, I've had many different influences. I've been blessed. I went to a very small school district, and so I have former teachers that they were there for me. I can, right off the top of my head, I can think of Mrs. Ryan. She was the teacher that everybody wanted. She was the best teacher in the world. She had been around for so long that she had actually taught my dad, and I knew she loved me just by her actions, her words, and that I don't know why she did. I was a daydreamer and I was a goofer around her, and she still was always remained very patient and very loving, and she would always redirect me to get back on task. And I was blessed that way. But even then, I didn't think I was going to become a teacher. As much as I loved her, I didn't think I would become a teacher. Something else was I have many friends who are teachers and employed by all the different school districts here in El Paso that are being represented today. And even then, I didn't think I would be a teacher. I am from a family of teachers. My paternal side of my family there's so many of us. I think even the educational companies could set up a booth at our family reunions and they would have visitors all day long, because everybody, my tias, my cousins, the whole extended clan are teachers. My parents are teachers. My mom is a retired elementary teacher, and she taught for many, many years in 3 different districts. My dad is a retired vocational teacher, and he taught for many years in a neighboring district. And even then, it took a kind of a shove from my mom to get me started, because even then, I didn't think I was going to become a teacher. I was a late bloomer. I had the opportunity to become a teacher assistant in the Head Start program, and that is where I started my educational career. I worked for a couple of years as an assistant, and then I was given the opportunity to open up a classroom. And I think that's where the little spark started. I would go watch other teachers work, and I would see things, and I would say, oh, I like that, and I like that. And I would take all these practices that I would like from other teachers, and I started putting them in my own toolbox. But it was still something that I was still, they were influences, but they were not my aspirations. They were influences. My colleagues, again, influences. I have my children that I work with every day. I love them, and they make teaching so much fun for me, and I look forward to being with them. And they're my daily reminder that life is good. But when I think about who inspires me and who I aspire to be like, well, I don't need to be so emotional. It is my sisters. They are who I look to for guidance and support. They are phenomenal educators in their own right. They are my colleagues. They work for the same district, and they are my everything. I'm honestly surprised that I'm here and they're not. I'm so sorry. I didn't expect this to be so emotional for me. They have both demonstrated a tremendous amount of resilience and strength in their personal lives. And they powered through everything. And even through everything, they still had time to help me when I needed their help to go to school, because I was, again, the late bloomer, and I was the one that put off going to college for a while because I was quite happy with where I was at. And they became teachers in the public school system much sooner than I did. And so they pushed me to go further. They pushed me to have faith in myself that I could do something with myself. And every time I think of how they helped me, I'm always thankful and grateful. They deliver tough love. You know, sometimes it's harsh and sometimes it's swift and it catches me off guard. But even through this process with the TOY process, I was having trouble, getting my head together, writing essays, and they told me, you can do it. You've done this, and they are my go-to. They are the light that I use to guide me. And so they've made me a better person. They've made me a better teacher because of who they are, because of the help they give me. And when I'm stuck, they show me. And when I need anything, they're the ones that I can always count on to keep me going forward. And they pray for me and they love me. So those two are my inspiration. They are the teachers that I want to be. They are my light. They love me and I love them. Barbie and Lisa, thank you so much for getting me here. Thank you.
We've only heard 5 beautiful stories, and I don't know about you, but I cannot hold the tears. I cannot hold them back. Thank you, teachers, for sharing your heartfelt stories. Next, representing Socorro Independent School District in the secondary category, Ms. Crystal Avila.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Crystal Avila, and I'm representing Socorro ISD and Socorro High School. So first, I just want to start off with thanking God and knowing that I'm so blessed to have this opportunity to do this, and having been a teacher for 13 years, knowing that I've been able to make such an impact, over the years. And so again, we were asked to just talk about like who or what inspired us to be teachers, and so I think we all, and you can see, we've all had that teacher that we look back on, that teacher that's planted a seed in our lives. And mine is Miss Olivas, my 3rd grade teacher at Loma Terrace Elementary in the YSLETA district. She was an amazing teacher. I would show up to school every day and she had this huge smile on her face, and we would walk in and we'd be so happy to be there. And she would make us work together all the time. We were collaborating and talking to each other. And whenever a student maybe just didn't know something as well, she'd be like, oh, go ask her and maybe she'll explain it to you, and then you come to me. So she allowed us even to be little teachers with each other in class, and I know there would be times where, you know, we all really like that projector, you know, with the marker, and you can go and project it up in the front, you know, and so she would let us go teach each other. And so I look back to Miss Olivas, and she put the learning in our hands. You know, she planted that seed of when I would see her and I'd be like, I want to be like Miss Olivas. You know, I want to be that teacher that the kids show up every day and they want to learn, and they want to pretty much work with each other and not school dreading, you know, and knowing that the day is not going so long, you know, it's going fast because we're having fun and we're learning. And then as I got older, you know, my older sister, Christy, you know, she is a huge inspiration to me. Whew, I don't know, I got emotional. But you know, I come from a family of not a lot of people went to college, you know, and don't have college degrees. And my older sister went and did it, you know, and she went on to become a nurse, and she has a family of her own that she has raised my nieces and nephew like so wonderfully. And so just by looking at her and seeing that she was able to go to school and she was able to get a college degree and become a nurse, and she's 6 years older than me, you know, and I thought, you know what, I can do it. I can be a teacher when I'm older. I can go to school, you know, and I can get a degree, and I'm going to do that too. And so I did, you know, and I went to school and I got that degree, and I'm just so thankful to my sister for being there and really inspiring me to be that new, I guess, version of myself. And by looking at them, I know they're great role models, you know, so that inspires me to be that teacher that really inspires students myself, you know, and is a role model for my students. And I've had like so many students, I'm a biology teacher, and have come back to me and been like, Miss Avila, you know, you inspired me to do biology. You have shown me that maybe in college, I want to be a doctor when I grow up, you know, and I do. And I have a student that contacted me not too long ago, and she's going into medical school at Texas Tech, and I'm just so excited for her, you know, and that she can come back and share that story with me, and to be a role model for my 7-year-old daughter, Isabella, you know, that shows me that I know she's looking at me, and I know she sees what's going on, and know that I'm going to be a role model for her as well, you know. And so who had inspired me first is my teacher, you know, Miss Olivas. What inspired me second is my beautiful sister, Christy, and showing me that I really can do whatever that I want to do, and the sky's the limit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Torres, for sharing your story as well. Next, all the way from DELL City Independent School District, representing the elementary category, Ms. Karen Torres.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you start your video?
Yes.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good morning or afternoon. I'm Karen Torres. I am in my second year at DELL City ISD. And I would like to thank my administration and the school for putting me up for this nomination. Just to give you a little background, born and raised in Texas. And in 2001, I moved to Arizona, where I had over 15 years of my teaching experience as an aide. Even though I was a certified teacher in Texas, I taught 6 years, and then we moved to Arizona. And now we're back. We were asked who maybe inspired us to go into teaching. My high school history teacher, I went to a very small school like DELL City, very comfortable in these size schools. That's basically all I've taught at. So we had the same teachers every year for math or history. And I have to say, Miss Palmore gave me my love of history. It wasn't dynamic teaching. It wasn't this. She did it like a college class. We took notes and we had to do essays. But she was also our English teacher. And so we had to do a lot of reports and got to go to the college, which was a big deal for rural kids, and get lost in their library. So I've always remembered that, and that's where my love of history came from. When I started college, I knew that I was going to be into history. I just didn't know how I was going to make my career out of it. After a couple of years, I decided on teaching because I wanted to pass that love of history on, even though I very rarely get to teach it in other settings. Also, I am the first one in my immediate family to go to college. My mother didn't, and my father didn't, neither my stepdad, but my aunts went to college, and they are academics and retired now. And so it was nice to be able to call them and pick their brain, and to realize as I grew up that we had that in the family. I didn't really realize that at such a young age, but I have to say it was my history teacher, Mrs. Palmore, that gave me the love of teaching. And my passion, though, after I got into teaching and as we grow, is ESL. I love teaching language and just seeing children thrive and grow. And we all have our luggage. All children have it. All adults have something that has gone on or they've seen go on. And so I like being there for those students. And there's nothing more gratifying than to see a child that hasn't passed a certain section of a state test, that when you get them, they do. And it's because of their hard work, nothing stupendous I did, but that's what keeps me going. I just have to say, my small rural school experience with Miss Palmore and that love of history and wanting to spread that on is probably what drove me to become a teacher. And I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Torres, for sharing your story. And next, in the secondary category, let us hear from Francisco Rodriguez, who is representing Sierra Blanca Independent School District. Mr. Rodriguez.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Rodriguez.
All right, thank you. So yes, I'm very proud to be representing Sierra Blanca. I actually live in El Paso on the west side of town, and I make the commute out there to Sierra Blanca an hour and a half every single day. I have to get up about 5 in the morning, but I'm really proud to go out there and really help out that community. And I'm just want to say thanks to the administration for nominating me and giving me the opportunity to go out there and teach. And so, I honestly don't have such a wonderful story as some of the, or the previous nominees have. But in my story, just kind of, I just went through school sort of as an average student, not great, but not the worst either, just kind of a C, B average kind of student. And so it really wasn't until my senior year where I had a teacher by the name of Miss Mackey in pre-calculus. And I was never the greatest student in math, but when I just got her to class, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the kind of environment that she put in the classroom, where it was very collaborative, and it was a small class of 13 students, which was great. I really truly realized my potential that I had in math, and that really inspired me, because up to that point I really had no plans to attend college. And so when I realized that I had that potential, I said maybe I could pursue this in college. And so I enrolled in the UTEP, and there I decided, I wasn't sure what I wanted to major, but then I decided to go into accounting because I figured it was going to be a good field where I could, make a good salary, make a good living, which is all I really wanted. And so it didn't come again till my senior year, where I had a professor who I had before, but I had him again for another class. And this is a professor who was working on his PhD, and his name was Farouk Arslan. he was working on his PhD, and he had actually left a 3-figure salary job at AT&T to come in to work on his PhD and to teach at the college level, because he realized that he really wanted to do something that he truly enjoyed, that he truly loved. And that's really what I learned from him. I learned that it's not about what you do in life and how much money you make. It's really about what kind of impact you could have. And so I started, after I graduated, I started in the accounting field for a couple of years. And it really wasn't all that eventful. I thought that I couldn't really do this for the rest of my life. So I was sort of at a crossroads and thinking, what should I do? What should I do now? What is the next step? And so again, I thought back to my senior year, back in pre-calculus, when I had a really good teacher. I realized that, you know, I could do well in math. And me and my girlfriend at the time, who is now my fiance, we would spend hours working on pre-calculus homework. And, you know, she wasn't the greatest in math, and she always thanks me for getting her through that class. But I realized that the way that I helped her, you know, was what made me realize I could potentially become a teacher. And so once I thought about that, I decided to enroll at the alternative certification program there at Region 19. And it was truly the best decision I could have made. Once I completed that, I was given the opportunity out there in Sierra Blanca, and all I want to do is go out there and, you know, give opportunities to these students who were like me, you know, never really had many thoughts about college. And I just want to inspire them and tell them, you know what, if I can do it, you guys can do it as well. You know, we all come from similar backgrounds, you know, not the, you know, our parents might have been uneducated, or we come from, you know, a little bit of a poorer background. It doesn't really matter. You guys have the opportunity, to get your education and really truly do whatever it is that you want to do. And so that's what I strive to do every day as a teacher out there in Sierra Blanca. So that is all that I have to say. Thank you so much again for this opportunity and for everything that you guys are doing for us.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for sharing your story. By the way, it's a wonderful story, okay? Next, let's hear from Denisse Valencia, who's representing El Paso Independent School District for the elementary category. Ms. Valencia.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'd like to start off by thanking EPISD and all of my community for coming and showering with love and support. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to Region 19 and TFCU for allowing us to share our stories. Throughout my whole life, there were people and experiences that inspired me to become a teacher. One of those earlier inspirations were my parents. They worked so hard and sacrificed a lot so that my siblings and I can go to school. And as early as I can remember, they always instilled the value of education and the value of school. And they always reminded us that it was also a privilege that a lot of their family didn't have. In fact, a lot of our family members didn't finish high school. So those were lessons that helped me go through school. And even though I wasn't the best student and school was difficult at times, you know, these lessons always encouraged me and inspired me, not just to become a lifelong learner, but to become an educator. My brother was also a big inspiration. He was diagnosed with dyslexia at a very young age, and my mother struggled to help him in school. You know, she didn't know how to speak English, and she was getting her GED at the time. And she really wasn't given that access to the tools to help him succeed in school. So I helped her advocate for him. We would go to ARD meetings together. We would go to parent-teacher conferences together, and I would help him after school with his work. And I vividly remember going to meetings with some of his teachers, and just seeing how they didn't believe in him and they didn't give him the time or, the attention that he needed to be successful in school, even though I knew he had so much potential and I knew that there was value and knowledge in him. And this really made me, I came to a realization. I realized that there were teachers, that we needed teachers in schools that believed in all the students and that took the time to care for all their students and to educate them. I also was inspired by my work with students with autism. I began as an undergraduate student, and actually even after I graduated and even after I was hired, I still worked with a specific student. And I was so inspired by him. And, we worked on academics and interpersonal skills and social skills, and just to see him progress and be successful was very inspiring to me, and it motivated me to become an educator. And I feel that, as a teacher, I continually am inspired by the students and their progress. All these people and all these experiences have shaped me and challenged me and motivated me to become, the teacher that I am today. And I'm very grateful for those experiences and those people. And I'll always keep them very close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valencia, for sharing your story. Next, representing San Elizario Independent School District in the secondary category, Ms. Adriana Castruita.
Good morning, everyone. Can you
Good
hear
morning.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is very difficult to listen to stories and not think of my own. The question is, who inspires you? My parents inspired me. When I was a young girl, at the age of 6 years old, I lost my father. And my mother never let me believe that that was something that people didn't go through. She said, no matter how hard life gets, you're gonna make it. But if you make it, Adriana, if and when you make it, it's because of your hard work and your dedication. I didn't know this at the time, but what I was seeing through her and learning from her was passion and dedication and giving it your all. She would always tell me, Adriana, I can't help you. I can't help you with your homework. I only have a 3rd grade education. Mommy, how come you didn't go to school? Because I didn't have shoes, Adriana. I can't help you. So if you make it, it's gonna be because of you. So, okay, I decided, it was gonna be hard. I didn't have the same opportunities that other people had. I had a mom that only spoke Spanish. I wasn't allowed to go outside because I'm an only child. And so I was a latchkey kid. So through the window, I would see the kids playing. And I felt like a little bird caged. So as I grew older, I had the opportunity to, go to school and excel. And my mother would always tell me, Adriana, I don't know how you've made it, thus far, because I can't help you. I can't help you. But what she was teaching me, and she probably didn't know, was that anything is possible as long as you believe in it, I see my children every day I've been teaching for a week, and I see them every day, and I see their struggles. I see that they're taking care of their baby brothers, or maybe they don't have access to a camera, but that's okay. That's okay. I tell them, I'm here for you, hijos. I'm here for you. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit and I was making parent calls, the first thing that came out of my mouth is, are you okay? Do you have food? No, Ms. Castruita, we don't have food. You know, they're going to cut our light bill. Don't worry, I'm going to put you in with the right people to help you out. I always do things to, I guess, make sure that all my kids are the best that they can be. Yes, I've had so many influences, you know, Mr. Martinez, my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Judy Mauerhauser, my 12th grade teacher, but my parents have always been there, you know, even though my dad passed away when he was young, his work ethic, his legacy lives through me. And I am very happy to carry out those values. You know, my mother always tells me, you know, life is going to be hard, Adriana. You just go out there and give it all you have. Yesterday, when I got home, you know, I was so happy. I was telling my mom, Mommy, did you know that they're going to light up the star in honor of each and every one of us for teachers? And she tells me, you all guys deserve it. Yes, everybody in this room, you know, we all deserve being recognized. We don't do it for that. You know, our kids are the ones that, you know, recognize us. I'm here at my desk and, you know, I get teary-eyed. I have little pictures, little love letters, invitations to graduations. So I know that even though I might have had a rocky start, I am here to impact many of my students. And it's so awesome to get a phone call from Belgium where one of my students is getting a doctoral degree, or to get help from a student, you know, if I go to the hospital and she's a nurse and they tell us, "Hi, Ms. Castruita, you never change your smile." And I say, I love what I do. This is my passion. I am happy, so happy to be the San Elizario ISD Teacher of the Year. And I congratulate each and every one of you. We are here together in this. Thank you and have a great day.
Ms. Castruita, thank you so very much for sharing your story. Next, from FABENS Independent School District, let us welcome Nancy Chavira from the elementary category to share her story. Ms. Chavira?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Like Ms. Rodriguez said, my name is Nancy Chavira, and I am very honored and proud to represent O'Donnell Intermediate and all FABENS ISD elementary teachers. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone that believed in me and who has supported me. I am the oldest of 5 siblings and a first-generation graduate. My passion for teaching started very early in life. Being the oldest of 5 and coming from parents that only spoke Spanish, I grew up having to help out my siblings with schoolwork, teaching them how to speak English, to translating messages from teachers. I'm gonna say that at first it felt like a burden. But as time has gone by and I see the great people that they have become, it makes me very proud to know that I was part of their accomplishments. Together, my siblings and I remember when we used to play pretend school on the weekends or during vacations. And I was their teacher, trying to teach them everything that they had to know so that they could be ready for school. I also remember that during my time in school, we had different school calendars. So when I was out on intersession, I would volunteer my time at my elementary school and help out teachers by doing read alouds to the kiddos or putting centers together. I believe it was in me to become a teacher. And unlike many others who have had positive impacts from teachers, it was a negative experience in school that made me decide I would become a teacher, but I would become the teacher that would support and guide my students. And at the same time, build those positive classroom cultures where they would feel safe and be able to collaborate with each other. The teacher that believed in each and every one of them and that pushed them to try hard, to believe in themselves, and to never give up. I have to say that working at O'Donnell Intermediate has given me this opportunity to fulfill this dream. I can identify with the students in the FABENS community because, like most of them, I too was an English language learner. I don't think I would rather be anywhere else, but I have to admit that getting here wasn't easy. At one point in my life, I dropped out of college and thought that my retail job was the right place for me. But it was until I had my son and became a single mom that I realized I had to retake my studies and become an example for my son, Iker. Throughout the year, I share this with my students, this story with my students, hoping that they take it with them and in difficult times push themselves and know that even if at one point they fall off of the wagon, they can always come back and continue working towards their goals. To close it off, I just want to say that I enjoy what I do and I love seeing my students grow throughout the school year and at the same time feel successful in their accomplishment. Seeing their smiles is one of the many things that keeps me motivated and striving to be the best teacher that I can be for them. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ms. Chavira, for sharing your beautiful story. Next, Ms. Christine Robledo from Fort Hancock Independent School District from the secondary category will share her story. Ms. Robledo.
Hello. There I am. Hi, everybody. Christine Robledo, and I'm very honored to have the privilege of representing Fort Hancock ISD. I'm very appreciative for the administration and students and other teachers' support and confidence in me. My story is very similar to several, but different at the same time, as we are all individuals, of course. From a very young age, I did want to work with children, but I didn't want to teach. I wanted to go into medicine. For as long as I could remember, that's what I wanted to do, was be a pediatrician. So I worked very hard at it. I wasn't a struggling student. I could hear it and I knew it. So it was very easy. So sometimes teachers kind of brush those kids aside because they don't really need them. I didn't really realize it at the time. Now, as I went through college, that's when I first experienced some difficulty because everything in elementary and middle school and high school was so easy. I didn't have to study. It wasn't until college that I actually had to learn to study. I went through college, studied microbiology to prepare for pre-med up until, I want to say, about a year before graduation. I had to drop out to get a full-time job so that I could save to continue with my education. I started working at Providence Memorial Hospital in the laboratory. I was just a gopher, really. The doctors would send materials down to get lab work done, and I'd bring the results back up to the floor. Of course, back then it wasn't all computerized, so it was little pieces of paper. But one day I was walking through the hospital and I passed the NICU unit and the PIC unit. And a doctor was outside talking to some parents and explaining to them that there was nothing they could do for their child. And I just walked away. I didn't know those parents. I didn't know the doctor. I didn't know the situation at all. I just felt my heart plummet. And I couldn't undwell on it. I just kept dwelling on it. And I realized that I knew that I could do it academically, but I didn't feel that I could handle losing a patient, losing a child. And so I floated around for about a year, just kind of finished my year off of school, went back to college, continued, got a semester away from graduating with my microbiology degree when I started subbing for a little extra money. And that's when I realized what I was meant to do. For some reason, the children in those classrooms really touched my heart. And they are what inspired me to go into teaching. What inspired me to be the teacher that I am, I try to demonstrate to my students that no matter what, they can do it. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay not to learn from them. We never put anybody else down. We should always build each other up. I try to show that I care. And I think that comes from the teachers who, when I was growing up, were not a positive influence on me, but a negative one. And I vowed never to be those teachers. And I hope I succeeded at that. And I want to congratulate everybody else for their awesome accomplishment and thank you for all you do for our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Robledo. Next, representing FABENS Independent School District and here to share her story, Ms. Jackie Avila, also from the secondary category. Ms. Avila.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Avila, and first I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank FABENS ISD for allowing me to represent our secondary teachers, and thank you to Region 19 for everything that you guys have done for us so far. I wish I could say that I had just one moment in my life where I was inspired to be a teacher, but I've had several moments. And my story starts with, I was a teenage mother. I graduated high school as a young mom. And the person who, being in high school, I wasn't really motivated. I never really struggled in school cognitively, but I wasn't very motivated. I let my surrounding influences overtake me. I had to do a lot my senior year to catch up, to be able to graduate with my classmates. And college was never in the cards for me. I never thought about going to college. It was never something that was ever brought up to me. I didn't have any influences around me. I didn't have any adults around me that were college graduates. So therefore, college was never something that I even considered. When I had my child, I would have to say it was my mother-in-law who really put the idea in my head. I started working right away, entered the workforce, and she's the one who put the idea in my head. She said, you know, you can go to school, you can go to college. She had a degree. So she's the one who put the idea in my head, and I never thought I could do it. That was the first time that I ever thought in my life, oh, you know what, maybe I can do something like that. I never had that confidence instilled in me, never growing up. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to give it a try. So I started college. I went through community college. I transferred over to UTEP. Throughout my whole college career, through going to college, even then I still didn't think I could do it. Even then I still thought I couldn't see myself finishing college and doing something, being a professional. I didn't see that for me. But nonetheless, I finished. I did it. My son was a great inspiration. I wanted to do it for him, for my children. I wanted to be a role model for them. So I started teaching. During my last year, I did an internship, and I also did, I started subbing. And that's when I fell in love with the middle school. These middle school kids, every time I told somebody what I was going to teach middle school, they would tell me I'm crazy because middle school, they're hard, but they're a challenge, and I fell in love with that. I wanted that challenge. So I would say my mother-in-law is the one that pushed me to get into the field, to get into college, to get into doing something. And the kids are the ones who kept me there. So my ultimate goal was to, I started off in a big district, which I loved. They taught me everything I needed to know. They provided me with lots of resources. They taught me a lot. I started off in a big district, but my ultimate goal was to always come back to my community, to FABENS ISD. I'm from here. My family's here. This was my ultimate goal, to come back to my community because this is where my heart is. I'm vested in this community. Every time I see these kids, I see myself. When I see the little vaguitos, that was me. I grew up in poverty, and I wanted to show them, I wanted to be an inspiration to them, and I wanted to show them that they can break that cycle of poverty. I wanted these kids from here, from this community, to see that someone like them is progressing, is doing something, that cycle can be broken. And like I said, nobody ever instilled that confidence in me growing up. I do it to them. I want to make sure that I instill that confidence into our kiddos in this community, and to show them that they can do anything. They can do anything, they can be anything, and that somebody believes in them. Too often we have a lot of being in this small town. This town is beautiful to me. I love my community. Other people might not see it through my eyes, but I love this community. My heart is invested in it. And the success of these kiddos, it just means the world to me, because I was these kiddos. And that's been my inspiration, is doing what I can to make sure that I help these kiddos, and so they can build that confidence, so that they know that they can do something in life. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avila. Next, we have Ms. Lourdes de Leon from San ELIZARIO Independent School District in the elementary category, who will share her story. Ms. de Leon.
Yes, I'm here. I don't know how to turn the camera on, but let me try it. Okay, got it. I think I got it. Yes. Okay. Hi. My name is Lourdes de Leon, and I'm representing San ELIZARIO ISD. I am from the school Borrego Elementary. First of all, I would like to say thank you not only to the school, but also to the students and the parents of the students in the community. Most of all, the community and everybody here is part of my family. I'm going to give you a little bit of background of where I come from. I was raised in San Agustin, Distrito Bravo, Chihuahua. That's a little town in Juarez. I am very proud of my mom, my dad. They, like a lot of us, my mom and my dad didn't have high education, but they were so smart. They were able to foresee their lives. And my dad worked in a SARCO. I'm sorry to say that he passed away in June 23rd, not to COVID, but he was 91 years old. He was about to be 92 years old. And I miss him a lot, but I'm gonna tell you, answer the question that they ask us, who inspired me. And I'm gonna go back to my childhood, when I was coming from Juarez, and my mom and my dad, or my mom used to drive us all the way to YSLETA district to have a better education, to have a better future for us. For me and my sisters. And we used to cross the bridge every morning, real early in the morning. And I started school here in the United States in 4th grade. And I remember that I was very, very afraid. I am quiet, but I'm gonna say that my 4th grade teacher didn't let us speak Spanish. So I wasn't able to communicate with anybody. I wasn't able to talk in Spanish. So I'm not being negative, but I'm also, explaining why Mr. Allen inspired me to become a teacher and to change children's life in this society nowadays, because we live in the border and we have a lot of students, and sometimes they didn't value what is our language, which is Spanish, and English is together. It's supposed to be together because that's who we are. Mr. Allen gave me the opportunity to learn, not only to learn, but to appreciate English and appreciate Spanish, to communicate. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, is that in my classroom and in the classroom, I tell the students, this is a safe place. I believe in you. I have high expectations. If you cannot communicate to me in English, do it in Spanish and I'll help you. And one of my rules in the classroom is that when they come in, I tell them, we're gonna respect each other. We become a family, and we're gonna do it with love and respect, because we're a family and nobody makes fun of anybody. We're here to learn from our mistakes, and we're here not only, but to correct each other with respect. Nobody's supposed to make anybody feel less or anything because we're learning from one another. And the way he inspired me is because when I spoke English, people used to make fun of me and I kind of like didn't want to talk, but look where I am right now. Thank God to my mom that pushed me very hard and my dad to have a better future. I am proudly able to say that from my immediate family, I am the only one with a college degree, with a university degree. And I hope to inspire not only more of my family. I have my niece is a teacher and I have several nieces that became teachers because of me, but also to inspire my community. I don't live in San Elizario, but I've been here in San Elizario, working for San Elizario for 32 years. It's part of my life, it's part of my heart. And not only San Elizario, but El Paso and Juarez. For them, I want to inspire them to believe in themselves, to have dreams, and to make them true through education. Because if it wasn't for us teachers, we're the foundations. We make the teachers, we make the doctors, we make lawyers, we are the foundation. So I'm gonna say thank you to Mr. Allen for being a wonderful teacher and understanding what I was going through. On that time of sink and swim, and I was able to survive. I didn't sink, but I am here, and I am here to help my students, my community, and everybody else here in San Elizario and El Paso and Juarez. Like I said, I am very, very, very proud of what I have done to support and advocate for my students. I'm a very dedicated person. I do it with all my love. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. De Leon. And yes, we are happy that you're here. We're so proud that you're here. Next, let us hear from Michael Herrera, representing El Paso Independent School District in the secondary level. Mr. Herrera.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Region 19 Teachers Federal Credit Union for bringing this on and holding this for us. Your guys' stories, man, so inspiring. And we've been talking about who's inspired us and how we got to where we're at. And when I was at Coronado, I think I was like graduate number 930 out of 960, 970. So to the Coronado teachers from 1990 to about 1993, surprise, I never would have guessed I would have been a teacher. I was the depressed kid. I was the anxious kid. I was the suicidal ideation kid. And there were so many teachers that influenced me. We hear from other, from the past speakers of how even the negative influences are still influential. A teacher telling you, you didn't write this report, I don't believe it was you, will make a kid not want to write a paper for the rest of his high school career and make him doubt himself. And I promise to never be that teacher. But then you also have the Mr. Esparzas of the world who, and Coach Mims of the world who would just my bell ringer was never I didn't have to take a test. He never gave me tests or anything like that. Coach Mims would, when I'd go sit down, he'd whisper a joke in my ear, or he'd say something silly or funny, or he'd have something on the board, make me answer it. And I would do it. And that was his way of gauging things. And he was just so cool. He was just so funny. And I was just like, man, dude, this guy, oh, he gets it. He gets me. It's okay to joke around. And, I went to school trying to find, some peace and some happiness, if you will. And so Coach Mims definitely brought that. Mr. Esparza would do the same thing. Was just funny dude. And so those were my high school inspirations of my teaching today, and really try to, the kid that has his head down in a hoodie, who battles depression and super sad and I tap him on the back every day. I'm like, get your head up, man. Let's go. And pretty soon the whole class would be like chanting his name if he wasn't paying attention. And it turned into a fun atmosphere. And the kid was scoring like 7% on his practice test for STAR exam. And he ended up crushing it, you know, on his STAR later on. And the hoodie's off. And he is joking around with everybody in class, and everyone was just like, man, dude, from where you were at in August and September and to where you're at now is completely different. And so that's owed to the Mr. Esparzas and to the Coach Mims of the world. From a higher academic part, Dr. Chavez at UTEP, you know, at age 36, when I had lost my job and tried to figure out what I'm gonna do all over again, taught me how to read and write. I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous, right? But you know, how to critically look through things. And I got passionate with race and gender studies, and I was doing my resume and seeing, you know, what can I go into next with this degree in history, and all my resume was just teaching and tutoring and mentoring. So I gave it a shot. Was an ACT prep instructor and did that for a few years, or did that for a year at Andrus, and then at CANUTILLO High. Did that for a few years there. And then I suffer from like massive imposter syndrome. So I'm still like, you know, administration and other teachers are like, dude, get certified. The principal would literally tell me, get certified, I'll hire you. And I'm like, you're joking. And so I put that off for 3 years still, right? A little shattered confidence. But once I finished my certification, there was only one school I wanted to apply to. Got into Andrus, and the master's degree comes in handy there, doing dual credit and teaching students. And I'd be able to come home and I'll, you know, tell my mom my stories of like, oh man, these kids get happy if I throw them Jolly Ranchers. And she was just like, well, take care of them. Be kind to them, you know, be nice, Michael, you know. And I have a different, you know, like the cariños that could be going on. And so, you know, I'll be like, all right. And so the students have really bought into that. And I'm so honored and humbled by being EPISD Teacher of the Year, and seeing the group right now with this Region 19. Man, it's some phenomenal educators. So I would be remiss if I did not mention my mom and dad as the inspiration and the bedrock of who I am. You know, my mom was such a selfless person and taught how to embrace failure. You know, do not be afraid to get knocked down. You know, you got a backbone for a reason. And so I try to channel that as much as I can. My father is an absolutely the proudest El Paso High graduate you would ever want to meet, right? If you drive down, I believe it's on Murchison, and you see the little metal thing that's out there with the El Paso High Tiger that says class of 66, that's me. That's me. And I'm like, all right, Dad, yeah, man, I've been hearing that for 45 years, dude, got it, like El Paso High. And so my parents have always instilled that type of positivity, and almost taking like bad situations and make the best of what you make the best out of them. And so I am, like I said, I am deeply humbled and honored to be part of this. To all the other teachers, congratulations. This is going to be a very interesting school year coming up. So thank you once again, and God bless and take care.
Thank you, Mr. Herrera, for sharing your story. Next, from Sierra Blanca Independent School District in the elementary category, please help me welcome Rachel Gomez to tell her story. Ms. Gomez.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Hi, so my name is Rachel Gomez, and I am the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade English language arts and social studies teacher here in Sierra Blanca. And first, I would just like to thank God for everything that he's done for me in my life. I would also like to thank my administration and my wonderful school district for this amazing opportunity and honor to be able to represent my school here. My story actually begins in the 3rd grade. I grew up here in Sierra Blanca. This is my home. I went to Head Start all the way through 12th grade here. And so in the 3rd grade, I actually had an amazing teacher. She created an environment and a classroom where you didn't know you were learning, you thought you were just having fun. And so we were challenged to explore and create and become these lifelong learners. She really was a lifelong learner, and she encouraged us to be just like her. But I remember this one day in class that we had to give a presentation of what we wanted to be when we grew up. Now, I don't remember exactly what it was I chose, but I do remember that after my presentation, she pulled me to the side and she said, "Rachel, you're not going to be, I think it was a veterinarian. You're not going to be a veterinarian." She said, "You're going to be a teacher." And she said, "And I believe you're going to be a great teacher." Now, I remember coming home and I was just so excited that my teacher said this to me. And as teachers, we really know that we have such an impact in what we say to our students. And so that moment really stuck with me, and it went, it was a seed planted in my heart. And so I went through school, I went through college, and I didn't go to college to be a teacher or to be an education teacher. I actually went to college to be a Bible teacher. And so I learned a lot of important skills to be a teacher in college, even though it wasn't to be an education teacher. After college, I came home. I really felt called to come back home to serve my community. I absolutely love my community, and I'm so thankful that I was able to come back. But the other two people in my life who really inspired me to be a teacher were my parents. And they reminded me of my 3rd grade teacher and what she had said to me. And they encouraged me to get my teaching certification. And I was given the amazing opportunity by my superintendent, Mrs. Loeffler, to be a teacher here. She gave me, a chance to do that for my community. And I'm forever thankful for that, because without all of these people in my life, from the 3rd grade to my parents, I wouldn't be where I am today, but I also know that this is my calling, and I'm just so thankful to be able to teach my students. A huge thing in my classroom is I teach my students to be lifelong learners. Learning doesn't just stop in the classroom. Learning doesn't just stop when you graduate high school. Learning continues forever. And so I'm really thankful for this opportunity, and that's my story. Thank you.
City Independent School District in the secondary category, Mr. Clement Boki.
All right. So, okay. So my name is Clement Boache. I know it's a very difficult name because I'm not from here I'm from Ghana. So my name is usually, people find it difficult to pronounce it, but that's okay. So so I have to share my story also, and I know I have an accent, so maybe you pardon me if I'm not too clear, but as a math teacher, at least I'm able to deal with my numbers. And I have to thank my administrators, Mr. Contreras and Mr. Cervantes, for choosing me to represent the district. I'm so grateful. I never knew at one point in time in my career, I will be nominated as a best teacher for my district in the United States, because I have a whole lot of story to share if you permit me, but we don't have a lot of time. But so just going back to the question, I would say that it's my students who always inspire me. And this is how it all happened. When I was about to finish my high school in Ghana, in western part of Africa, I didn't have any plan to go into teaching, honestly. But the unfortunate thing happened, and I lost my parents. And so I didn't have anywhere to go, because in Ghana, before you go to the university, you need to have you have to have money, or your parents should have money to take you to university. But the other option was to become a teacher, where when you go to the teacher training colleges, you are given allowances. So every month you get money from the government. So I decided to do that because of financial constraints. So that is the main reason why I went to the teaching colleges. Okay, so, but after my 3 year to be trained as a teacher, and I ended up teaching in one of the Ghana, we call it the junior high school. It's comparatively like a middle school. So when I started teaching and looking at what I was doing, and when students come back to you and tell you how they have struggled with this topic in mathematics and how they now understand it and all that, it was really telling me a lot, because my idea was to just have this thing done, save some money, and then do whatever I wanted to do in the future. But when students come to me and talk to me about the impact I'm making in their lives, like how I was helping them in math topics and all that, then I decided to, then why don't I get my bachelor's degree in mathematics so that I can really do well in mathematics, teach students in mathematics and all that. So that is the main reason why I had to go to do my bachelor's, because I had already saved some money, which I could have done something different. But because of these students, I decided to go to the universities to do my bachelor's in mathematics. So in Ghana, after my 4 year degree in mathematics, that final year, I was so fortunate because they were looking for teachers to go to South Africa to teach. So I decided to just go and explore. So I went to South Africa and I taught for 3 years in South Africa. Now, my first year of teaching in South Africa, I had some students come to me and they told me that in so many years, this is the first time that somebody in physical science and mathematics, they've had the A's in physical science and mathematics. And it's all because of me, because I was handling both physical science and mathematics. And that motivation was keeping me on, like, come on, so this is what is also happening here, then I need to go further and do my master's. And that is why I ended up at UTEP. So I went here, I came to UTEP to do my master's in math. And then whilst I was doing my master's, I said, okay, so after my master's, what am I going to do? The only thing that I know is teaching. And I always love doing that, because when students come to you and share how you are making that impact in their lives, it was the one that was keeping me going. So I decided to, like somebody coming from Africa and doing your master's. And so how do I end up? I didn't know anything in teaching here. How do I even get into that? And fortunately for me, I met this person at Region 19 called Mr. Adako, Manuel Adako. And this man has been so phenomenal in my life, in my career, because I didn't know how to even get into teaching. And that is what I wanted to do here. I wanted to explore it over here. So I met him and he encouraged me, he directed me, he did a lot for me to get into the classroom. So when I got here, and unfortunately my family lives in Missouri and I was all alone here. And I think at one point in time, I could see from my administrators that this guy will be frustrated here and there. But even when I spoke on the video call with my family, with my kids, I have one year baby boy and a 3-year baby girl. So when I do the video calling with them, sometimes after the call, I have to cry because I really miss them. But in the morning, when I'm doing my morning tutorials, when I'm doing my afternoon tutorials and trying to make sure that, because here is a small school, and so I teach everything in mathematics. So I need to prepare them for STAR and people who are taking pre-calculus and all that. I need to make sure that I'm doing. So when I come to class, whatever that I went through the night before, because I miss my family, but when I get to class, seeing my students doing whatever they are supposed to do and preparing them for their test and all that is something that has always been keeping me going. So I simply put, I always say that it's my students who really inspire me to teach, because when I see them overcome their struggles in mathematics, because here is a very small school and I see that students have been having teachers come and go and they have a lot of gaps. So the moment I got here, I was trying to make an impact so that at least they can overcome all the gaps that they have already missed in some years ago and all that. So when I see them do their best in mathematics has always been my motivational factor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boachi, for sharing your story. Next, representing Socorro Independent School District in the elementary category, please help me welcome Mr. Pedro Gurola. Hi, Mr. Gurola.
Hello. Hello, everyone. A little bit nervous, but I would like to express my appreciation to Region 19 and Teachers Federal Credit Union for the sponsorship and providing us with this platform to share our journey. And listening to all the stories here from all of these awesome educators, I can certainly understand why all of you were selected to represent teachers everywhere. Truly inspirational stories. And I'm honored to be able to share mine as well. Every good thing that has ever happened in my life has been as a direct result of someone giving me a hand up and teaching me something. Something, whether it was in graphic design, I'm amazed by his work ethic. He doesn't know the meaning of the word quit. But I was inspired to become a teacher by my greatest teacher, my mother, who taught my siblings and me how to face and overcome adversity. The summer before my 3rd grade year, we found ourselves homeless. We had nothing to our name, not a place to call home. But her lifetime was dedicated to making sure her children understood that they were greater than those circumstances. She taught us to hold our head up high, carry ourselves with pride and dignity, and see the joy in a life well lived. She inspired me to find my why, and I do that with my kids now. Find your why, find that driving force. Ms. Padilla offered us a converted garage to call home. She allowed us to maintain a sense of pride. And essentially, we do that with our kids every single day. We give them a place to call home. We allow them to maintain a sense of pride, regardless of how limited or how extensive their experiences may be. But that's what we create for them. And that's a lesson that I will never forget. I was motivated by my middle school teacher, Mr. Kennedy from YSLETA Middle School. He offered me so much compassion when I needed it the most. He gave me something to belong to, not just me, but other kids who really didn't have that belief in us. We didn't have a whole lot of direction, but he saw the potential in us. It didn't matter to him where we were coming from, but he wanted to make sure that he pointed us in the right direction. He gave of his time, he gave of himself. If I could ever see him again and offer my hand as a man now. Thank you for giving me of yourself and of your time. Ultimately, I was convinced to a life of service to others when my son was born, realizing that someday I was going to put him in the care of a teacher. I wanted to be able to do the same for someone else's children and share the same messages that my mother delivered to us, to inspire, to motivate, and to challenge. My youngest daughter, Mia, once told me that kids don't always believe when we're told that you're smart or that you're good at something. Well, you know, you tell us those things because you're supposed to, you know, for whatever reason, because we love them or because we're their parents. And I realized she taught me a lesson that belief isn't inherent. It's not an inherent belief for everyone. And that's where the honor, the real honor as a teacher is. We get to instill that in them. We get to nurture it and we get to watch it grow. Sometimes we don't see the fruits of that, but it will happen when it is done with sincerity and when it is done with compassion. My lifetime commitment to this vocation is that I want all my kids to understand that they too are greater than their circumstances. It is my kids from years ago who come to me, who are now building their own families. They're chasing after their dream. They found their why. They're pursuing a college education. The ones who come by to introduce me to their own children, it is them now that inspire me and motivate me to continue this, because there's one common thing that they all share with me. It's the appreciation and the thank you for the life lessons, not necessarily the well-crafted math lesson or writing assignment, but it's always been the life lessons. I want to thank, and I'm truly grateful for Team SISD and my Vista del Sol family for the opportunity to continue this journey and helping to bring out the greatness within us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Curola, for sharing your story with us this afternoon. Next, representing CLINT Independent School District in the secondary category, please help me welcome Claudia Esparza.
Good afternoon. My name is Claudia Esparza, and I teach 7th grade writing at Gonzalez Middle School. I am honored and humbled to represent CLINT ISD. And
Mrs. Esparza, we can't see you. There you go. Now we can see you. Would you mind starting again? Thank you.
I want to thank Region 19. There. My name is Claudia Esparza. I am honored and humbled to represent. I want to thank Region 19 and TFCU for hosting this event for us. And so we have to share who and what inspired me to become an educator. So here's my story. Mexico lindo y querido was a phrase I grew up with. Both my parents were born and raised in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. When my mother began elementary, she became a U.S. citizen and began living the American dream. However, my father was not as fortunate, so he had to, at age 14, he had to work eternal living for both my grandmother and him. He began singing at the international bridges, buses, the ruteras, the camiones, and but soon he met this wonderful professor who inspired him to join a theater, teatro as he called it, and he began performing in Mexico City, the different plays, obras, and hoping that one day he would make it big to the big telenovelas and movies. However, there was an obstacle he faced, money. He did not have the means to pursue his dream in acting, so he had no choice but to come back to Juarez. In his early 20s, he met my mother and they got married. I'm sorry. Even though he gained U.S. citizenship, we had to live in like colonias where sometimes we didn't have running water. Sometimes they had to turn on the stove so we could keep warm. Sometimes we had to wear our same clothes to school, and yes, kids would make fun of us, but it didn't matter. I think what mattered was that I gave it my all in school. I had to bring A's and B's on that report card, no exceptions. And because a C to my mom, especially my mom, was deeply frowned upon. And I remember my parents always saying, give it your all, don't give up. One of these days it'll pay off. So I am thankful for my parents for setting those high standards, those high expectations, and for instilling in me that anything is possible, that sí se puede. And to this day, those words have echoed my life, my teaching journey. I am who I am because of them. But I also want to talk about my sixth grade teacher, Ms. Corrales. When I started my grade school, I did come across many wonderful teachers, but I will never forget Ms. Corrales, my sixth grade teacher. She has been another inspirational role model in my life. I remember strolling through her classroom, and you could smell those high expectations. She expected nothing but 110% in everything we did. So I carry that with me, and life, I think, God works in mysterious ways, because when I became an educator, I ended up working Ms. Corrales side by side. She became my mentor, and I am the teacher I am. I remember her telling me that essential skills you will need in life, in any given profession, because we do live in a world where we communicate through email. We communicate, whether it's friendly or business email. We create or we write business letters. We write complaint letters. We write letters of interest and so on. And for this reason, I think I give it my all in teaching writing, because I want my students to master that skill, because one of these days that skill is going to set them apart from others. But lastly, I want to thank my family, my husband and my children, because they have supported me and inspired me in so many ways. My husband has supported me 24/7. And he knows, and then some of my students need a hero. Some of my students need that light of hope. I have also been blessed with a wonderful son who earned his way to UT Austin. And I remember where we had to, I helped them write essays for those scholarships, for those college applications, and to achieve his goal, and he did it. I also want to thank my daughter for inspiring me because of her hard work and dedication. She has committed to play at the collegiate level at Paul Quinn in Dallas, Texas. And finally, my son Joshua for always given many teams to play us, and he has also chosen to join this profession. And I share this story with you guys, my children's stories, because I want to inspire hope in parents and students in the community that they too can have their children attend elite universities. They too can have their children commit to play at the collegiate level. So I will work closely with stakeholders like teachers, Federal Credit Union, Region 19, to set up seminars, webinars, to help our parents, to help our students, to help our community navigate through that college process, because it's not an easy process. Navigate through the educational process, especially with the writing of those infamous college essays and scholarship essays. We must work together to build a better tomorrow, because for our students, for our community. And I think it has taken a pandemic such as the COVID-19 to realize how interdependent we are. We need people from all aspects of life, nurses, doctors, food processors, suppliers, truck drivers. Everyone is needed and vital in this world. And as educators, we have the unique opportunity to mold traits that promote self-worth and service to others. And I say service to others because I am a big fan of servicing others, of going out to the community and helping in whatever we can. So I'm going to close my story with this quote that I love. The purpose of life is to be useful, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and live well, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So I want to thank every single educator, administrator, and parent and students whom I've had the honor to work with. Because of you, I am a passionate agent of change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Parsa, for your touching story. Next, representing the elementary category, please help me welcome Stephanie Mendez from Tornillo Independent School District. Ms. Mendez.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Mendez, and I am the art teacher at Tornillo Elementary and Intermediate School. I am here proudly representing Tornillo Independent School District. Ever since I was young, I love teaching. I would gather all my little cousins and we would play school together. And I always wanted to be the teacher. I never wanted to let them be the teacher. Even so, out of so many people who inspired me, there are two people that I want to honor today who greatly inspired me to pursue my passion. Sorry. First, my high school teacher, Mr. Kane. He is a teacher that inspired me and helped me raise my confidence. He saw in me a leader, and he always pushed me towards greatness. I was a very shy girl, but he helped me become bolder and become more involved in activities in school. And overall, he just made my high school experience amazing. Mr. Kane was Texas Teacher of the Year in 2008, and I wish he could be here today to see many of his students, following in his footsteps. Mr. Kane, he taught for 42 years at YSLETA High School, and a lot of people remember him. He would always say that he would retire from teaching when it wasn't fun anymore. And Mr. Kane never retired. So that's always inspired me to have fun with the kids, because if you're having fun while you work, then it's not work. Second, my sisters, who all have a background in education, but I wanted to talk about my sister, Vanessa, who also inspired me. Before I even graduated high school, I would look forward to the start of the school year because I got to go help her decorate and set up her classroom. And I would help with coming up with icebreakers, putting together folders, setting up bulletin boards, anything she needed. And she loved education. She loved being a teacher. And I think that's why I love it so much too, because she showed me how it looked like to love what you do. I didn't realize how much she was loved by her students. And she passed away 6 years ago. For her funeral, the school arranged for buses to bring students to the funeral for their final goodbyes. So many of her current and past students joined us, and it filled up the church. To this day, we still spontaneously meet her students out in the community and some of her coworkers, and it still feels like she's here with us. It is so unreal to think that they're no longer here, but I feel comforted by the thought that their love will be passed on. Sorry. I feel comforted by the thought that their love of teaching or just their love in general will be passed on by their students. Mr. Kane and my sister Vanessa both strive to make connections and touch students' hearts. And when I teach, I always try to be like them. I think of them whenever I'm teaching and interacting with students, because I want to create experiences that students will remember, just like they created memories with their students as well. And before I finish, I do want to thank my home away from home, the Tornillo community, my district, my principals, Ms. Lopez, Ms. De La Rosa, all my coworkers, all my past teachers, my students and their families, to my family, my friends, Michael Galindo, I love you all very much. And thank you for always giving me the support in everything I do and for being my why. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a beautiful day.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez. Thank you too for sharing your beautiful story. Next, we'll have Janelle Sad, who is representing Anthony Independent School District in the secondary category. Ms. Sad?
Hello, good afternoon now. I'm Janelle Assad, the band director at Anthony High School and Middle School. Thank you to the Anthony staff and administration for always supporting me and the students of the band program. It is an honor and a privilege to represent the Wildcat family today. While I wish I could name all of the people that have inspired me through my journey as an educator, there are a few that stand out. Mr. Bruce Beach was my high school band director. As a high school student, I had dreams of becoming a lawyer, but Mr. Beach was the one who saw that my true passion was in music. In fact, he made it a point to tell me that I shouldn't go into law, rather that I needed to study music and become an educator. And I'm really glad that he shot down my dream, because I can't imagine a life without teaching music. While in his band program, as much as I strive to be a great musician, it was under his direction that I learned that commitment and perseverance was all I needed to be successful. When I think of the role of a teacher, there has to be so much more to them than just helping students pass a test or receiving a 1 at a UIL contest. It's about the journey, it's about the lessons, and it's about the hard work that one puts in to finally get that first division. That is what I saw in Mr. Beach as a teacher. He was tough, caring, kind, and father-like. He held high expectations for us, and all we wanted to do was reach them. His lessons taught us so much more about life than we ever realized as teenagers. We wanted to make Mr. Beach proud, and we knew when we had. But he wasn't just there for me while I was in high school. He was behind me through my entire journey as into becoming a music educator and to now. He went from just being my high school band director to being my mentor. He, along with his wife, Mrs. Beach, who happens to be another great band director, mentor, and wonderful friend, they constantly give me feedback on rehearsal strategies and performances to ensure not only the growth of my band, but my growth as an educator. I still strive to make Mr. Beach proud. The way I saw him as a teacher is the way I want my students to see me. I want my students to leave knowing that they have the tools to be successful in any career path they choose. I want my students to one day look back and say that they were proud to be part of the Anthony Wildcat Band. I want to be, for my students, what Mr. Beach is for me. Thank you, Mr. Beach, for inspiring me and seeing my passion for music and education before I knew it was there. However, there's also a group of preteens and teenagers that deserve some credit too. To all of my students, those that are no longer under my direction and those that have to deal with my, let's turn on our screen so that I can at least see your face today. They are the ones that inspire me every day. They are the reason why I get up in the morning and the reason why I want to become a better educator. They deserve to have a role model and deserve to have someone that believes that they can do anything, just like Mr. Beach did for me. I do this for them and for the future of our community. Thank you.
So much for your story. Next, representing YSLETA Independent School District in the elementary category, please help me welcome Maria Armendariz to share her story.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maria Armendariz, and first of all, I'd like to go ahead and thank God for these amazing educators making wonderful changes in students' lives. So I wanted to thank all of you, each and every one of you. The second, I would like to go ahead and thank my district, YSLETA ISD, for being able to represent you, as well as all elementary teachers. Shout out to Constance Hulbert, my elementary school, and all my fellow colleagues that I've had throughout these years. I want to say that I had various people that have inspired me throughout my years of teaching, but one that comes to mind would have to be my middle school coach and physical education teacher and health teacher, Ms. Bryant. Ms. Bryant, I would just remember in the morning getting up early, and I couldn't wait till I got to her class and just learn about physical activity. I could also remember that once I left the class, I had a boost of energy that nobody can go ahead and shut down. I remembered that I had this the self-confidence, the energy to go ahead and get any challenges that were coming across. I would be able to deal with them. I would be more focused, ready to focus on my core subjects in the classroom. And all that came about because of the activities that Ms. Bryant went ahead and showed us what to do. She went ahead and she made it fun. She taught us how to break down skills and enjoy them. She went ahead and made sure that we included everybody in our activities. And she reminded us, remember, everybody has a strength. She went ahead and encouraged us to work as a team, to believe in ourselves. And after that, I just came out and said, this is the profession for me. This is what I want to be. This is what my life is going to be. And so I remember one time, Ms. Bryant in 7th grade went ahead and told me, why did you not try out for the volleyball team? My response was, well, I don't really know anything about volleyball. And she says, you know what? You'll never know how good you can be if you never try it. So the following year, I went ahead and I tried out for the volleyball team, and I made the volleyball team. And it didn't stop there. I fell in love with volleyball. I continued in high school and received district honors. It didn't stop there. I continued and I went ahead and I made the UTEP volleyball team. Oh, amazing. Got to experience the college level. And then I said, I graduated, and from there, it didn't stop there either. Guess what? I was coaching at Riverside High School, at Hillcrest Middle School, and you would think, okay, by then it's already over. No, it's still going strong right now. I continue giving back to the community. I teach for the EPCC Children's College volleyball camps. So thank you, Ms. Bryant, because you inspired me to go from not trying out to continue to giving everybody a glimpse of what volleyball could be. But not only that, Ms. Bryant also inspired me indirectly. She went ahead and posed this question: what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, that was easy for me because the answer was, I want to be just like you. I want to be a physical education teacher. I want to help and show everybody the importance of moving, of being healthy, of having a well-being environment and being able to be successful. So that's what I wanted to be. I was so excited. But then Ms. Bryant went ahead and said, well, you know what? I want to mention something to you. You're very smart, you're very talented, and you're very compassionate. Why on earth would you want to be a teacher? Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. Were those the true words coming out of her mouth? But then I said, well, I couldn't understand it. So I said, I want to make a difference. She said, well, first of all, there's not enough pay, there's not enough appreciation, and you get to work with troubled students. I don't think this is right for you. I think you should become an attorney. You should become an engineer. That's what I think you should be. Well, at the middle school level, at that time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm confused. What does she really mean by that? And so I said, oh, I know. I think she's trying to challenge me. She really wants me to reach deep down inside of myself and see if I really want to be a teacher. So guess what? The challenge came on. And so I went ahead and I started pursuing my education in the process to become a teacher. I worked hard at it. I volunteered for different age groups of children to see if I could go ahead and read their minds and know what was going through them. And guess what? I became a physical education teacher. And guess what? I did not disappoint Ms. Bryant, because a physical education teacher translates into a kinesthetic engineer. And because of that I became that engineer, I want to let Ms. Bryant know that I still get appreciation. I have students, elementary students, that bring me flowers every single day from the field. So I have to take an allergy pill. It's okay, but that's appreciation. I go ahead and I have priceless letters that are written to me from the students thanking me for teaching them physical education and about their health. I even had one student that gave me a pretend check in 1995 for $190,000. Can you believe that? I'm getting paid very, very well. But most of all, I'm not working with troubled students. We're working with students that come from different environments with different needs. And guess what? We need to go ahead and make sure that we help them see the gold that we already see in them and show them that they are true treasures waiting to be claimed. So in conclusion, I want to thank Ms. Bryant, because she shared the passion directly and indirectly for me to continue setting high expectations for my students, for continuing to change lives, and to continue inspiring others to be the best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Armendariz. And before we hear from our last nominee, I'd like for us to acknowledge Marcela Ulloa, who represents Fort Hancock Independent School District in the elementary category, who could not be with us today, but we want to congratulate her for being Teacher of the Year representing Fort Hancock. So next, let us hear from Mr. Anthony Lopez-Waste, who is representing CANUTILLO Independent School District in the secondary category. Mr. Waste?
Good afternoon. Thank you for everybody sharing their stories. Very inspirational. My name is Anthony Lopez-Waste. I teach world history, AP world history. I'm the girls varsity basketball coach and the JV girls softball coach here at CANUTILLO High School. So I have a full plate and I love it. First off, I'd like to thank Region 19. I'd like to thank TFCU, of course, CANUTILLO Independent School District, and Dr. Pedro Galaviz. That's my guy. I'd also like to thank our principal here at CANUTILLO High School, Teresa Clapsaddle, as well as my AD, Scott Brooks. Those two are definitely my compass here on campus. Also, a quick shout out to my 5 daughters, #GirlDad. Okay, so I'd like to start off actually with a little history humor. So, who built King Arthur's Round Table? Circumference, of course. So I say that so that everything from here on out, it's going to be uphill. I promise you. Okay, so my inspiration for becoming a teacher, or the person who planted that seed, would be my high school basketball coach and history teacher, actually, Coach Terry Duncan. Coach Duncan had me as a sophomore and a junior in class, and all 4 years of high school basketball. And this is a man who had served in the Navy. He was very passionate about what he did in the classroom and outside of the classroom, and definitely on the basketball court. So I have great memories of Coach Duncan, and we still communicate actually today. So it's great to still have him to bounce some of the stuff off of him that I still do, not only in coaching basketball, but also in the classroom. So going to high school, first off, I was a BC student, not that I couldn't have gotten A's, but quite honestly, and my mom can attest to this, I went to school to play sports and to stay eligible. I was that kid. So that's what I did. You know, I passed and I was pleasant with everyone, and I earned several athletic scholarships my senior year. I decided to go play football and baseball at Linfield College in McMinnville, Oregon. So I went up there, and my problem when I got up there was my work ethic. And I didn't realize that at the college level, you don't show up to stay eligible, but play sports. You're there to get an education. Sports comes second. So my maturity level certainly was not on point. And so quickly I lost my scholarship and I was put on probation as a sophomore. So I decided not to go back. So I moved to Seattle, Washington. This is 1991. I'm kind of an old guy, in case you hadn't noticed the gray. So in 1991, I moved to Seattle, Washington, and I was stocking shelves for about 6 months at Walgreens. And I saw an Army commercial come on, and it said we do more by 8 in the morning than most people do all day. And I was like, no, that's not true, because I'm stocking shelves at 5 a.m. So I called Coach Duncan, along with my parents, of course. I called Coach Duncan. He was the last person I talked to. I said, hey, what do you think about me joining the Army, or at least going and checking it out? And he was like, you know what? I think you should, because he had always talked about his travels when he was in the Navy, and how, you know, it really made him grow up, and you could feel it in his lessons. And remember, there aren't TVs in the classrooms back then unless you wheel it in on the cart, right? There weren't all these awesome digital products. It was books and lectures. Okay, so for him to instill that passion about history and wanting to travel, that was the deciding factor. So I joined the Army in 1991, and I retired in 2011. So I did 20 years, numerous deployments in terms of peacekeeping operations as well as combat. And I retired in 2011 here in El Paso. And I was like, okay, retirement life, that's what's up. And my wife's like, oh, no. You shoved college down your daughter's throats. You will not be the only person in this family without a college degree. So my retirement was cut extremely short, right? She runs the house. So yeah, I went back to school full time, and I still had about 3 years to go. So I hammered that out, and of course, history was the only thing I was interested in. And so I retired. I graduated in 2015. So I graduated, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? So I decided to start substitute teaching, and that's what I did here in the community for about 1.5 years. And I just fell in love with it. You know, I've lived all over the world. I've taken my family pretty much everywhere with me. So I have that history bug, the travel bug. And most importantly, I've experienced all these different cultures, and it's a beautiful world out there. You know, it's a shame that more people don't travel and get out there, you know. So what I try to do in my classroom is I want the kids to feel that passion. You know, I want them to know you can get out of here. Every kid thinks that if you leave El Paso, oh my gosh, you know, this is the end of the world. And I'm trying to tell them, EP is not going anywhere. It's going to be here. It's been here. It's going to be here. Right. So, so that's really what I try to push with them. So I actually got hired in 2017 was my first year here at CANUTILLO. And yeah, I'm in love with the kids. I'm in love with the staff. I love everybody here. It's a great school. It's a great environment. And this is my dream job. You know, I talked about this with my mom, you know, 30 years ago. If I'm going to do anything, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I've been telling my wife since 1995, you know, if I'm going to do anything, this is what I want to do at the end of my Army career. So, yeah, I love it. The kids are my passion now. But Coach Duncan definitely gets the majority of the credit for pushing me in this direction, along with my wife, my mom, of course, my kids, my family. But the kids are my motivation, and so is the staff. I'm in a history department where you don't get caught slipping. Don't get caught slipping, because the history department will bust you out if you're not on top of your game. We take a lot of pride in our department. We share everything, ideas, experiences, right? You name it, technology, anything that will help all of us. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate them. That is my inspiration. That's my motivation. And I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off, I guess. So I appreciate everybody. And, hey, everyone stay safe out there and make sure you vote. Forget political affiliations. Just vote. Okay. Half of the country voted in 2016. That's silly. Okay. So I spent 20 years protecting those rights. So please get out there and vote. Okay. Exercise those rights. That's important regardless of who you vote for. But stay safe, EP and Region 19. And love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we're not hearing audio. There's no, it's on mute for Dr. Aguirre. No, still can't hear you. No, we still can't hear you, Dr. Aguirre. We're seeing it come through on the chat box too. No, nobody else is hearing.
Test, test.
Yes, we just heard something. But
1, 2, 1, 2.
Now we can hear you.
As I was saying, thank you, Mr. Lopez-Waste, for your thoughts and inspiration. Along with that word inspiration, dedication, encouragement, motivation, something to play to all you great people. I want you to nominate, selected by your district. They're fantastic. They inspire themselves. Having said that, I think that one of the big motivations that I get out of this is that being in education for 30 plus years, I know that we're only as good as the people that get in the field. You are great examples of what we need, but you also work with students to become the next great teacher. So I'm sure you've done it before, and I'm sure you'll continue doing it, but I would suggest and recommend that you highly encourage your students to become educators. But we need more people such as yourselves. So again, congratulations to all of you. So on behalf of Region 19, we're excited for you, we're happy for you, and we're here for you. Remember, this coming Saturday, I believe it starts at 7 p.m. We will have our Teacher of the Year Gala. It will be a little different than we're used to, but it'll be just as exciting. So I wish you all the best. Make sure you celebrate between now and then, because as far as we're concerned, all of your leaders. Stay safe and remember, let's be El Paso strong.
So.
Is the meet and greet over?
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. And remember to join us on Saturday. Tell your friends and your family that they can watch you on YouTube, see who's going to win. We are going to have prizes for first, second, and third in both elementary and secondary. So be sure to tell them to come to our channel at ESC19 and watch YouTube. And we'll have many other videos as well, including today's full meet and greet, and they can scroll through. If they didn't catch you today, they can scroll through the video and see your testimonial. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good week, everybody.
You as well.